Hey everyone, welcome to this video lesson on I Walk the Line, playing it on the guitar. Now, ostensibly that's what this video is, me showing you this, but really I want to use this video to teach you two really common things that we need to know as guitar players. And this tune is one of the best ways to get into simplistic ideas of doing this. So the first thing is transposition, because this one changes keys throughout the tune. Every time we play it in a different key essentially. And to show you transposition, I need to explain a little bit about functions, or what's often referred to as the Nashville Numbering System. So we'll talk about that, and we'll go through how to play all the chords and how to transpose. That'll be a big chunk of the lesson. And another chunk of the lesson is going to be these bass runs, because this song starts always with bass runs that go between chords. And they're pretty simplistic. It's like kind of your first bass runs, but I want to talk a little bit about them. It's a great thing to learn at first, this intro. And we'll talk a little bit about varying them and what you can do to add or subtract or make them have a little bit different color. So first thing I'm going to do, play through the tune. Because of the transpositions, I'll do it in all three different keys that it goes through. So I'll play the intro and then that. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to play the tune in one key, and then we'll talk about how we deal with transposition, Nashville Numbering System, functions. And then we will go through the intro with bass lines, and then we'll talk a little bit about varying up those bass lines and how to use them, maybe use them in different tunes. So that's all that's on the docket today. Let's do this. Let's play the tune. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 1. Watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tide that binds. Tide that binds because you're mine. I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone when each day is through. Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you, because you're mine. I walk the line. As sure as night is dark and day is light, on my mind both day and night. But happiness I've known proves that it's right, because you're mine. I walk the line. And so on and so forth. That's the way this tune works. Okay, so let's get into the lesson. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to show it to you in the key of A. So we need 3 chords to play this in the key of A. We have an A chord, we have a D chord, and we have a E chord. Okay, those are the 3 chords that we generally use when we're playing in the key of A. And we'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's talk a little bit about this rhythm. So mostly what I'm doing is just this boom chicka, right? And on an A chord, I'm picking the root, so the A in this case, and then I'm just doing a strum. So it could be like boom chick, or it could be boom chicka, where I just kind of add an upstroke in there. Boom chicka, boom chicka, boom chicka, boom chicka. But another step I'm doing is I'm alternating the bass note. So it's very important that I hit the root of the chord, so the lowest note that belongs to the chord, or not the lowest note that belongs to the chord, the root note at the beginning. And then I can either go down a string or up a string, just to create a bit of a bass line. That's up a string. That's down a string, which tends to be what I do. Now there's a lot of versions of this tune, and some of them do different stuff, and the bass runs are a little bit different, and often it has a capo on the first fret. But yeah, we're trying to kind of understand it as a whole so we can do our own variations on it. That's the idea here. Okay, so let's go through the chords. I put up the chords here. Now, when we start, we vamp on an A so we can hear the key of the tune. But as soon as the singing comes in, the song form starts on the E chord, right? So we get this. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. Back to I keep my eyes wide open all the time. To the A chord again. Then here comes the the D chord, back to the A chord, then to the E chord, back to the A chord. And that's the whole tune. Like, that's the whole idea of the tune. It changes keys, like I said, but if you know that, I keep it da 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 da. Just repeats that first line. Da 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 da. That's the tune. Okay. So now to make it a little more interesting, we can transpose it. So let's talk about transposing. So in order to transpose something, we need to understand the function of these keys, right? Now, most people aren't perfect pitch, and that's generally not how we understand music anyways. We hear things in relationship to each other. So this tune will sound the same if I do it, well, it'll sound like this tune if I play it in A, or if I play it in D, or if I play it in F. It still sounds like this tune. So transposition can be kind of a fun thing to do, is move things into different keys, but it's also a very important thing to understand and be able to do, because if you're playing with singers, they often can't sing it in the key that is maybe the original key or the key that you learned it in. So you really want to have an understanding of how to be able to transpose things. So the systems that we use this, we need to talk about the function, right? And there's different ways of saying this. Classical players often are like dominant, subdominant, and tonic. Well, let's say tonic. Oh, well, we'll show relationships in a second. But often we just say it in numbers. And there is the kind of rock, jazz, pop version where they use Roman numeral numbers. And then there's the Nashville numbering system, which is literally just numbers 1, 2, 3. I prefer the Roman numerals because it's what I got used to, and also because I like that you can make them lowercase to denote minor chords. Now, what do these numbers represent? Well, literally, it's just the notes of a scale. So in the key of A, right, we can play an A major scale, which is just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, which is whole tone, well, whole tone is 2 frets, and half tone is 1 fret. So whole tone, half tone, whole tone, half tone. 2 holes and a half, 3 holes and a half. You don't need to worry too much about that for this. But what we just do is we give each of those as a number. So if we're in the key of A is number 1. And as we go up, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. And then we're back to 8 or 1. That's why we call it an octave, because it's the 8th note of the scale. So now a quick trick that we can do for transposition, especially when we're dealing with chords, is if we have 1 as our, one thing you might have noticed, maybe you've asked yourself, like, why is it that we have 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G? We have no H when we're talking about music. Why is it that we have 7 letters to denote 12 notes? We have all these sharps and flats. And the reason is because the grammar always refers to these scales. So if we're playing in one scale, each scale has 1 A, 1 B, 1 C, 1 D, 1 E, 1 F, 1 G, right? They could be sharp or flat, but they're always those kind of 7 letters. So what that means is we can use a trick of just counting the numbers on our hands, right? So if we're in the key of A must be 1. Now again, we don't have an H, so we just jump right to G. So A, B, sorry. A, B, C, D. Our 4th has to be some sort of D. It could be a D sharp or a D flat, but if you just try a D sharp or D flat, you're going to hear that they're wrong in this case. So that's a quick and dirty way. It's generally going to be a D, might be a D sharp, D flat. And then the 5 in this case will be the E, right? A, B, C, D, E. So that goes with what we know. When we played this tune, we were in the key of A, so the 1. We started, I keep a close watch. It's the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord. 5 chord, 1 chord. 4 chord, 1 chord. 5 chord, 1 chord. Now, another trick that I found really helpful with this is the way I learned it, is a little hockey stick, or an L. I'm Canadian, so hockey stick is the way I think about it. So the way this works is a little bit more accurate, because it'll show you whether it's sharp or flat. Whatever note we start on, if I put a note here, this is the A in the case, I want to know what the 4 and the 5 are. Well, the 4 is literally just down a string from it, and the 5 is up 2 frets from that. So there we see that little L or hockey stick. There, I'll put a graphic up of it. That's our 1, 4, 5. And whatever note we start on, it doesn't matter. And it could be, you have to watch out that you don't do it on these two strings because they're tuned a little differently. But, you could start on the 5th string or the 4th string or the 6th string. So if I put a finger here, so whatever that note is, I don't even need to know what that note is. If that's 1, that's 4, that's 5. In this case, that's a G, that's a C, and that's a D. So if we're in the key of G, that's my 1, that's my 4, and that's my 5, G, C, and D. And that one's kind of nice because, for example, I'll give you, if we start on F, well, F is here. Whatever note that is, that's my 4. And whatever note that is, that's my 5. And if I look at those notes, this is an F. This is some sort of B, right? F, G, A, B. It's going to be some sort of B. But in this case, it's B flat. And then that's our C. Okay, so now let's apply this to the tune. So the way this tune works is we just played it in the key of A, right? 5, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. Those are the chords. So now we want to put it in the two keys that were a part of A. Like we end up going to the 4 chord, so we go to the D, and we play it in the key of D, and we go down to the 5 chord, to the E, and we play it in the key of E. So let's take a look at it in the key of D. So if we're in the key of D, D is now our 1, so we need to find out what the 4 and the 5 are. So D is 1, D, E, F, G. So it's going to be some sort of a G, right? And I could even just use my ears. That sounds right. Okay, sure. And then what's my 5? D, E, G, A, or sorry, D, E, F, G, A. A, right? So in the key of D, my 1 is D, my 4 is G, and my 5 is A. There you go. Bam. So let's take a look and make this work. So if we're in the key of D, we can sit here, and in the John Cashel makes them sit so he can get the key. And then he's ready to sing. And then as soon as the sing comes, it goes to the 5 chord. I keep a close the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord D, then to the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord. Here comes the 4 chord, which is a G, then to the 1 chord, back to the 5 chord, then to the 1 chord. There you go. Now, let's do it in the key of E. So if we're in the key of E, we got to figure out our 4 and 5. So if E is 1, E, F, G, A, it's some sort of an A, and the 5 is going to be some sort of a B, right? So we have E, and we could check it with that little hockey stick. So I could go on this E, or here, let's put it here. 1, 4, 5, well that's E, A, and B. That's right, so we got it. So when we're playing in the key of E, the B chord is not a very comfortable chord, this B major. So people generally play a B7. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just play a B7 anytime a B comes up. But if you understand that the B is the 5 chord, so in the key of E, the 5 chord can basically always be played as a dominant chord. And this is true of any other of the songs that we're playing. If we're playing in the key of E, the 5 chord is, key of A, the 5 chord is the E, so we could always play it as a dominant chord. So it's kind of a trick to use where you want to add, if you understand that it's a 5, you can always make it a dominant chord, but as long as it's stylistically appropriate. So let's start in E. So in the key of E, we have 1 is the E, the 4 is the A, and the 5 is the B7, right? Let's try playing for this tune. So here I'm getting the key and I go, I'm ready for it. Da da the 5 chord, then to the 1 chord, then we go back to the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord. Here comes the 4 chord, straight to the 1 chord, then to the 5 chord, back to the 1 chord. Now, to end this part of the lesson, I'm just going to say that when I'm done doing the intro bass runs part of the lesson, I'll kind of play through the keys again and have it up on the screen so you can see all the keys at the same time. Okay? Now, one more thing I want to mention that's kind of a cool trick that you'll hear quite often is dominant chords, like like we added that 7th, you can always, if you're going from a 1 to a 4 chord, and this is very common, so we can do it in this tune, anytime we're going from the 1 to the 4, and we want to create a little more tension, and it's stylistically appropriate, so if it doesn't sound good, it doesn't sound good, we can put a 1 dominant in there, right? So if we're in the key of A here, And we're doing the like, I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. 5-1, I keep my eyes wide open all the time. Now here we're going to the 4 chord, so we can add a 1 dominant, or a 1-7. I keep the ends out for the tide that binds. So you will hear that very, very often in tunes that you're playing, where you go from 1 to 4, and it's a nice little trick to learn, and you start hearing people go, oh, what was that chord they did? Oh, that was that. That's called the secondary dominant chord. And in this case, it's just 1, 1-7, or 1 dominant to the 4 chord. Okay, that chunk of the lesson's done. Like I said, we'll talk a little bit about, or I'll go through the chords at the end of the tune so you can kind of see all of them on together. But let's talk about these bass lines. So, with the bass lines, the intro just kind of goes through the 3 keys to kind of show, okay, here's the 3 keys we're dealing with, and we do these bass walks to kind of approach each key. So these are nice ones to learn. We're going to learn the very basic ones that are done in the tune. Different versions of the song have little different bass lines, and we'll talk about different variations that you can do right after it. But let's talk about what we're doing here. So to start off, we're going to an A chord. So we're going to do this pickup to an A chord. It's a bass run in which we just go 5, 6, 7, 1. And that's me talking about the intervals or the function of those notes, right? We're in the key of A, so we're literally just going up the scale from the 5th note of the scale to the 1. 5, 6, 7, 1. Right, but you can just remember it by this kind of shape with these open chords. The important thing to remember is we start on beat 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Because this A note, or the root of the chord, has to be on beat 1, right? So then we do it again, going up to a D chord, because we want to go to a D. So we have this walk up. So that first note I hit just because we're on a key of A, but now we do a walk up to the D, and it's the same thing. 5, 6, 7, 1 of the D chord. Right? Playing the D chord. Now we go back down from the D to the A. And because D and A are separated by these 2 notes, it's the same line, just going backwards, right? Right, so from the D to A, we have this. Now we're going back from the A to the E. So that's kind of the main little chunk of it. We're going to go up to a B chord here in a second, but those walking bass lines, it's very simple to see because it's always 0, 2, 4, 0 on each string. 0, 2, 4, 0, and then back down, 0, 4, 2, 0, 0, 4, 2, 0. So that's a really nice practicing just to get in the habit of learning that line. It's very useful. But also just in the habit of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, which is a very, very common pickup into a chord. But if you haven't practiced it before, it's totally new. It takes a little while. Okay, so now we're at this E chord. We do this little line to get to the B. It's a little different than the other ones. Right, then we're at the B7. Then we go down from the B7 to the E, just connecting it. Right, so that's it. And I'm going to play through it all with the tablature here. But I want to, before we do just kind of this, go through the tablature and play through it and see everything, I just want to talk about little variations that you can do. So any of these walk-ups, you can see that what we're doing is we're connecting one note to another note. That's probably the easiest way to do these little bass runs. So like in the case of A and I'm going to a D, I'm just going to connect A to D with some notes. Right? Those are the notes of the scale. They are the most obvious notes. But if you want to create more color, you could connect it with any notes you want. It could be a crazy notes. You know? So it's nice to kind of have your own experiments on what to do. And connecting the notes, connecting the chords that we're going from is one of the easiest ways to do, but you don't have to be connecting them. You could always do some sort of melodic lead-in, up or down. So in the case of these ones, we're going 3 notes below the root, right? If A is our root, we're starting just 3 notes. 1, 2, 3. That's why we start on beat 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Those are the 3 notes, then A. But we could do 3 notes above A as well, right? Or any 3 notes above A. I could literally do the 3 notes, 3 frets above A. Or 3 notes below A. Right? So it's nice to just experiment with these. You're not going to come up with all of them, but when you learn a new one, just understand that you can use it on any chord you want. And you start to have some that are nice variations that you like. So I'm going to show you a variation that I hear sometimes on the in versions of I Walk the Line. So in these variations, instead of going 0, 2, 4 root chord, right, 5, 6, 7, 1, they go 0, 3, 4 on the way up. It's a little more bluesy. And then on the way down, instead of 3 and 4, we get 3 and 2. This is the same. Here we can just do a bass line, like a pentatonic thing. Blues scale. Right? So here's what I'm going to do now with the tablature is I'm going to play through those bass lines so you can see them. So it starts like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. A chord. Up to the D chord. Back down to the A. Down to the E. To the B. To the E. And then we start the song, right? Here's the variation that I wrote out in tablature with the kind of more bluesy notes. You have these sharp 9s are often referred to and flat 7s. Okay, so it sounds like this. 1, 2, 1. To the D. Then you start the song. So, homework on this one, try playing through that. There's a couple things I'll mention. One is that last ending bit. You gotta bend that G just a little bit. Doesn't sound right if you do. But, so, homework on this. One thing is, try to come up with your own variations of it, or at least get these two down and see if you can mix and match them and see what works for you. The other thing I'll mention is, often in the singing, when you hear this, because you're mine, that's just the same walk downs that we've been doing. We're just doing the thing to the thing, right? Because you're mine. That's just to the E chord. Ba-da-da-da. They're the same walk downs. So often you'll hear it, and it's not always, it's just a lot of times in the tune, the guitar will follow the melody, because that's what the vocal melody is playing. Because you're mine, I walk the line, and you can do that in every key. I'm not going to write that out for you, because I feel like with all this information, you guys can spend the time to figure that out. Okay, very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sing through 3 verses in the 3 different keys with those walk-ups that kind of get us to the keys. And I'll have the graphics and tablature up here so you can see it. So you start in the key of E here, and you get this So we're going to the 5 chord. Soon I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. Okay, right? Or E, I keep my eyes wide open all the time. 4 chord, I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Now we're going to A. Walk up to the A. Now we're in the key of A. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone when each day is through. Here's the secondary dominance. I keep the ends out, or I'm a fool for you, because you're mine. Walk down on that one. I walk the line. And now we're on the key of D. Walking up to it. Okay. As sure as night is dark and day is light, I keep you on my mind both day and night. I've known proves that it's right. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Or we'll go back to that. Back down to E. And then the song just kind of sits on E at the end and ends. Alright, hope you've enjoyed this. Hope you learned a lot. Till next time, have fun. Bye.